Welcome, one and all, to actually, I'm going to guarantee it, one of the biggest shows True Reporting has had to date. Guys, the storm has arrived, my friends. And so has one of the best investigative journalists out there, one of the best anons out there, IET. Welcome, my friend. Welcome to the show.
That is quite the honor. Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here.
We have a lot to get to today, guys. Before we do so, I need everyone right now to like this stream, share this stream, and support this channel with the super chat below if you're able to, and also with PayPal and Patreon. Obviously, this is free content, and this is IET's first interview, so we have a lot to get to, guys. So much in the news. You know it. I know it. And we're going to start off by saying this. I want to thank you, my friend, for being here first and foremost. I have a question for you, and I'm sure most of us do as well. Can we get a basic breakdown of what we're facing right now with what Q has told us in the post from yesterday? So much we've been waiting on Q amidst this quote unquote Kung flu. So what do you take away from the post from yesterday?
Well, so he basically talks about how they tried to use this to hurt Donald Trump and his re-election chances, right?
Right.
Well, he also mentioned in a previous Q post that they have their playbook, right? The Dems playbook. If we go back and we look, I think as early as 2004, there's been a disease that's come out every 2 years, which is every election year, right before the elections. MERS, avian, swine, Ebola, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is kind of like their MO, right? So I'm pretty sure they had the idea, they knew it was going to come, and they co-opted the unit to basically benefit us, right?
Correct.
And there's all kinds of theories that we could talk about as to why and how they did that. But we do know for sure that we co-opted it, and there's a couple of things that you can point to in the Q posts.
Yes, I'm about to share that with you right now. Okay.
Absolutely.
These are the posts from yesterday, so just give me 1 second, real quick.
There's some I sent to your Twitter DMs. Mm-hmm. Those two, I think I want to go first.
Okay. So you want to go to my Twitter account and pull those? Or you can just give me the numbers and I can go from there, my man.
Well, there's an article as a screenshot I sent you.
Gotcha.
I don't have
I'll pull it up right now. I got you.
Right on.
Okay, so you want to talk about post 528? That?
Yeah.
You want to go with that? Okay.
So on January 13th, right?
Yes.
2018, 528, you and your families are safe. Promise.
Correct.
Promise. All right. And then on the same date, in the other picture, I think in your inbox I sent you, there's an article talking about how the Department of Health confirmed on Monday, which was January 13th, that the coronavirus existed. Oh, this is a new thing, and it came out of Wuhan, right? 113. So then there's a Q post, the one that talks about 11.3, which, by the way, January 13th, being a 2-year delta between that post and the Department of Health and the Q post, plus 11.3. I think it's 25 and 26 that are the Q post numbers.
Okay, I can go to that.
So Q's always talking about think mirror, right? Think mirror. So we had January 13th, we have 11.3, and you flip it, that's 311. And that's when Trump starts talking about the travel ban, and the quarantine. And here we go, we got Q number 25, proof to begin, 11.3. I mean, we always thought that was a marker, right? So
correct.
If you go to 26, Basically,
Let me get to it real quick.
it talks about how the military is the only way. Right. So what do we see? The National Guard is being called upon to help with the coronavirus. Not only that, but other countries as well are deploying their military, shutting down their borders. Here it is. Once 11.3 verifies as first marker, the only way is the military, fully controlled. Biggest advance drop on poll. What are you seeing? And you got Trump talking about the Stafford Act and the Defense Production Act. I think that's what it is.
Right.
Where basically he gives the military some powers to have continuance of government. I mean, what does that sound like to you? And that's a bunch of, fancy talk, but basically it allows the military to do what it needs to do so that the government can continue.
Correct. So they're going to implement this, correct?
So martial law, ? Theory? I don't know.
Correct.
It's also shelter in place, is nicer words. It plays with people's psychology. If you say something like martial law, everyone's going to freak out. But if you say shelter in place, everyone's like, all right, that's cool. I'll stay home.
What do you think about, wasn't Mike Pompeo was saying we need to keep down the talk of disinformation going around? Wasn't martial law thrown into that wording, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, and it was, right? And Q Post talks about trust Kansas. Well, he says trust Sessions, Ray, and then it says Kansas. And, Anons have concluded that basically, since Pompeo's from Kansas, that means him. And when in a Q post, it specifically says disinformation is not only real, but it's necessary.
Correct.
If we are going to make it look like Trump was not necessarily involved in this decision as being a dictator of sorts, more like it is compelled from the majority of the United States that we should do this, it keeps his hands clean, and optics is a huge thing.
Right. So again, we were talking off air, and we were talking about how you see a timeline with how this is supposed to go. So I brought this post up, 44. Before POTUS departs on Friday, he will be sending an important message via Twitter. God bless. You're saying that the press is talking about, are you going to isolate yourself? They're talking about isolating everything. So is the president going to be isolated? You told me Air Force One.
So before we get to that,
okay,
let me just finish that last theory, and then this will play in nicely.
Okay.
If we talk about Q going done in 30, and the first time I believe Trump said done in 30 was during that press conference he gave on 3/11. You add 30 days and you end on 4/10/20.
Correct.
Everybody's seen, DJT. We all thought that was just his initial signing off. Also could be a date. Double meanings exist. Lo and behold, it happens to be a Friday, which makes it interesting because then you go to the next marker, right? 11.4. And I think that's like 32 or something like that. It's somewhere in there.
I'll have to look. Let me look real quick.
So 11.4 basically talks about, it alludes to Huma Abedin being arrested or indicted. But really what it is it's confirmation to the public. So maybe that will happen. But 11.4 mirror is 4/11.
Correct.
So Trump, how is he going to get himself aboard Air Force One and insulated? I mean, one of the speeches he was given as a press conference, you could see he was kind of having a hard time. Maybe he was breathing a little heavy. I don't know if he's acting into that. Maybe I'm just overlooking into that. But now we got Mike Pence and one of his staffers got coronavirus. We got Secret Service agents that are getting coronavirus. We got White House staffers getting coronavirus. I mean, my guess, and this is just a theory, is that somehow we're going to get the coronavirus closer and closer to Trump. And the media is going to demand that he insulate himself or isolate himself, right? There's got to be some kind of tactic. Like, he knows they want him to do that. So, set the trap, let him come all the way. And then Friday, potentially on 4/10, he'll have to board himself aboard Air Force One. I'm going to insulate myself. I don't know. This is a theory.
That's a theory that I have not heard. but one that makes the most sense. I mean, that seems most.
I mean, it's logical,
It's
right?
logical, yes. Very logical. Somebody said, is 4/11/20 Good Friday, by the way?
No, 4/10/20 is Good Friday.
4/10/20 is Good Friday.
Well, it's interesting because didn't Trump say today, in his town hall, we're going to try to be done by Easter. Well, Easter's 4/12, technically. But if you really want to get into the specific details, technically Easter weekend starts on Friday. So if he's saying done by Friday, well, what does that really mean? Is he going to have everybody arrested by then? Or is that when it's going to be all set up? And does the actionable, which is confirmation to the public, 11.4 mirrored to 4/11 the day after Trump would have that special tweet sent out?
Correct. Unbelievable. The numbers, and we know how these people code with numbers, so on and so forth. Numerology is very deep within the elite, especially with military as well. I think you're right on point. This is I don't think many people have taken these theories to heart, but or maybe even heard of this, but it is tossed around a bit, but it makes complete sense to me.
Well, you've been here for a while.
Sure.
You got to understand, and this needs to be mentioned. We've all thought several times that this has got to be it. This has got to be it.
Yes.
And it wasn't, right? And we
right.
got everybody hyped up for it, and nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
However, I've never seen the stars align like this.
No. I think intuitively with all of us, I think we all know and feel that something's coming. I mean, it's the perfect setup to get everyone isolated off the streets, protected.
Willingly.
And then let's get this underway. It's the perfect plan.
Totally.
You gave me some more posts. I'll bring them up. Maybe they tie into what you have just been saying. We did 26, 25. We can try 34.
55. So everybody knows the tweet that he's going to send out, right? My fellow Americans.
Correct.
The storm is upon us.
Right here. Yes.
Well, that's
again with the 11.3 and 11.4.
Look at it. Yeah, 11.3, 11.4. So here it is. Actionable 11.4 confirmation to the public of what is occurring will then be revealed and will not be openly accepted. But good thing we have the National Guard set up from the coronavirus. Plus, we're going to have to tell them, to what degree the coronavirus was controlled, why all the elite people have it in greater ratio than, say, other people. Didn't they say the average age was 80? And yet we have 44-year-old elite people dying from it.
Yes.
We got the Iranian general dying from it. How many people? I mean, there's so many just people you would consider in the top 0.001%, and they're all just contracting it and or dying from it. Mm-hmm. It's the wildest thing. Selectovirus.
I love that term, selectovirus. Exactly. It's taking out many a people, and we can try one more. So this is the tweet that we're all waiting on. Is my fellow Americans, over the course of the next several days, you will undoubtedly realize that we are taking back our great country, the land of the free, from the evil tyrants that wish to do us harm and destroy the last remaining refuge of shining light. Well, obviously, it would go on from there.
Do you see 55?
Let's go to 55. Go. Yeah. Wow.
That's it, man. That's it. Right? And so we all know the second that comes out, it is the ultimate go time. This is like the biggest confirmation ever. It would be the biggest Q proof. Everything would be happening all at once. What did he have a tweet like, come up real slow and then strike like the fastest animal on the planet? Mm-hmm. I mean, creep. And look at how we're doing it, right? Everything's kind of closing down a little bit at a time.
Correct.
First it was major sporting events. Okay, we can handle that. And then it was schools. Okay, we can handle that. And then now it's like shelter in place in some areas, but not all. Mm-hmm. So you're not like rushing people's psyches. They're not freaking out.
No.
Everyone's kind of accepting it a little bit at a time, and they're totally controlling the pace. I mean, if we really want to think about it, they should have, if they really were going to use a national lockdown to stop this virus, they would do it already.
Correct.
But it's not time. The right amount of events have not unfolded yet.
I mean, I don't know many people that can tie all this together live on a podcast as well as you've just done. And, I think people are completely blown away by this. I mean, if this isn't confirmation, I don't know what is. You're right. It's like the stars have aligned. We're all set, ready to go. Everyone's stocked up. Everyone's off the streets. Are people sick? Sure. I asked you earlier, do you find this to be a casualty of war during this?
You're talking about innocent people dying.
Yes.
Man, that is a tough question. I don't know the honest answer to it. When Q made the post, it was a 2-year delta to the release by the Department of Health. You and your families are safe. And I think there's another post, I think it was the 34 one you were reading, where it talks about like everything that we can do to protect innocent people is being exhausted to its fullest extent. Like, they're definitely not looking to have casualties.
No.
Whether or not these people are a combination of real people, perhaps statistics. I mean, we did see a NCBI PubMed article come out that talked about how the coronavirus test was showing 50% false positives, and then at some cases as high as 80% false positives. How many of those people are part of that? And realistically speaking, I mean, we're seeing a lot of elderly for sure, but there was a nursing home in Washington, something near Evergreen. It's an interesting name for Hillary Clinton's, Secret Service. The connections there, you have to question, right? So there's at least, if nothing else, a reasonable doubt that is worth looking into. And there's a lot of coincidences, which, I don't think we're supposed to believe in those.
Correct. I mean, people are sick. You're right. And many of the ones who we are definitely seeing are definitely showing themselves on Twitter. And I'm talking about the celebs. Celebs are decaying. So my next question to you is, does the theory of tainted adrenochrome resonate with you, my friend?
So it's interesting. So, a lot of you guys saw the picture I posted. It was a screenshot of a PubChem article talking about adrenochrome and having it being a similar shape to like a white rabbit with a blue pill, red pill in its hand. And it was manufactured in Wuhan. What's interesting is that article was dated on July 17th, 2018. And I believe it was on 8chan over a year and a half ago is when somebody actually found it and created that screenshot. We just didn't know the connection, right? Wuhan didn't mean anything to us. I'm pretty sure we were worried about other cities in China at the time as opposed to Wuhan. But, future proves past, right? So as soon as Wuhan became relevant, all of a sudden this became relevant. And unironically, it was posted on the 17th of July.
Correct.
So all kinds of coincidences there. And then you look at Q, he talks about there being white rabbits. And these people basically being referred to as those that take adrenochrome, those that participate in these satanic ritual abuses. And it being follow the white rabbit, there were so many meanings behind that. And we all thought, oh, maybe it was Hugh Hefner, the Playboy Bunny, and them having a honeypot, MK Ultra, CIA thing going on over there, underground tunnels and all kinds of secret recordings, etc.
What about Alice in Wonderland? How the world, what's up is down, what's left is right. That theory.
I mean, totally true, right? Everything that we think is real is not necessarily what it is. It's some distortion of the truth. It's not necessarily as plain as day as we see it. And I think that's going to freak a lot of people out when all of a sudden they see through a different set of lenses and everything appears as it should be, instead of what it's been told to us as history books. We're going to have to rewrite them.
And we're going to have to rewrite literally everything.
Everything. I mean, gravity. It's electromagnetism and centripetal force. Like, how are you supposed to go about teaching people these new, I mean, I bet it's going to make math a lot easier once we have the true secrets, right?
Sure.
this Common Core math. I got a kiddo at home. He brings his homework home.
Mm-hmm.
He has to solve these problems in the most irrational ways possible. And if you don't do it exactly the way they want you to do it, then you get marked off, despite if you got the right answer, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you know another way. They want you to do it a specific way. It makes my brain hurt just thinking about it.
Indoctrination, right?
Totally.
Yeah. So, getting back to what I was saying when we're talking
Adrenochrome.
about, yes,
Yeah. So,
and these celebs.
if you had your supply cut, let's just talk about a theory, right?
Sure.
Just a thought process. If you were an adrenochrome user and you had your supply cut, you're basically going to be looking out to find some more adrenochrome. And the reason why is there's a little physiology behind it. I don't know if everybody knows the deals about adrenochrome, but how you get it is you have to oxidize epinephrine. Epinephrine is a substance that your adrenal glands secrete during times of fight or flight, right? So if you need to survive, you got to run away from an attacker. If you're in a huge argument, if you get hit or whatever it is, and you basically think that your only objective right now is to survive the scenario, you're going to put a whole bunch of this stuff into your body. But to oxidize it, you got to pull it out. And so this is the whole process. You can imagine how they go about, getting this. You don't need to get into details. But when you give it to somebody else, they get to experience all the benefits of that, and it includes superhuman abilities, right? I mean, you've all heard, like, let's say someone's trapped under a car, all of a sudden some guy is able to pick it up. Like, that would never happen in a normal scenario, but because they had epinephrine running through their system, they could, right?
Right.
So it's like a super drug.
Mm-hmm.
But in the body, the way physiology works, there's something called a negative feedback loop. And if you put something external into your body and it has a certain amount of it, your body has a way of detecting how much is in there, and it will regulate it so that it keeps it where it likes it to be. So if you have more than normal, it tells its own organs that are creating the same substance, hey, you need to chill out. We don't need to make this much anymore. And then your body equilibriums. So they feel that as, oh, I need more, or I need more, right? And this
Correct.
is pretty much a lot of drugs. And then their body sees that they have even more in their system, and they downregulate their own systems even further. So we're talking about adrenochrome that probably has one of the highest negative feedback loops to the adrenal glands, and it'll make you basically have no life in you. So when you don't have any, you're looking at them falling apart, like, that's pretty real. So
they look really bad. Everyone's noticing this. None of them have makeup on. They look ragged. They look some of them. Juliette Lewis is deranged.
Well, it's not even just that. Like, look at the skin lesions. Look at the black circles and the big puffiness underneath the eyelids.
Mm-hmm.
That means they're not recovering when they're sleeping. They have excessive pulling of blood underneath there from capillary strain. Their body's not healing properly, and you can see it manifesting itself into their physical appearance. I mean, they are in need of a supply to help them get back to normal, and you're seeing them fall apart.
So we talked earlier off air about why children and why that adrenochrome instead of rather just a 30-year-old man or woman.
Sure. So if you have epinephrine is really for acute stress, right? And what I mean by that is something's happening right now. But if you're stressed out all the time, you will not use epinephrine so much as you will use a substance called cortisol. That's your long-term stress chemical production. And it's a bit different. It's not the same. So when you're talking about kids, they don't have these stresses, like the stresses of life, of being an adult, having responsibility. I mean, they're worried about what they're going to have for lunch and whether or not they're going to go play soccer in the afternoon or go to the pool to swim. Mm-hmm. Their life is easy, and everybody remembers it was really nice being a kid. Holy heck. Mm-hmm. But so since they don't have any of that stress, whenever they get traumatized in a fight or flight scenario, their stress hormones are richly epinephrine. So it's almost more pure, if that makes sense.
Right. I understand that. So, on the theory of it being tainted, let's get into that and who tainted it? Is it actually? I understand that this is a theory, so we're just kind of speculating at this point. But it seems a lot of people are on thinking
speculation. Yeah, absolute speculation. So March, I think it was 16th. I could be wrong by a day or two. Bill Gates, who happens to have the patent for the coronavirus, maybe not the specific type that we are specifically aware of, but that type of design of virus. And he went and met with him and Donald Trump in the White House on March 16th, 2018, which is 2-year delta from here. If we have their playbook, right, and we knew this was something they were going to attempt to do, Q told us they're trying to kill his re-election abilities. They're trying to crash the economy. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get slush fund emergency stuff. Like, it's so bad. So we knew all that in advance. What if we had cut their supply off? And then what if we knew Wuhan had manufacturing synthetic adrenochrome? What if the SA in Q post wasn't necessarily just referring to Saudi Arabia, but also synthetic adrenochrome? And then, of course, there's that theory Kafefe is like talking about the coronavirus.
I have not heard that.
Yeah, it's not a super strong one, but if there is even further proof that they knew about this stuff in advance. But since Bill Gates met with Donald Trump, I wonder if they re-engineered it. So there's a scene, I put it on my Twitter, I don't know, last night and this morning. Mm-hmm. It's a scene from Fast and Furious, which I got stuck watching last night. And it's interesting because I think it's the Shaw and Hobbs one, or Hobbs and Shaw. I don't know. They're talking about a virus and how it can be engineered to a certain DNA, how it can be rewired to pretty much do anything. And look at what it can do to a computer, right? It's a program essentially. Mm-hmm. And you can write it for specific people. So this is stuff that they kind of like give you some partial truths in movies as some sort of free will consent, as, oh, look, we told you, you know, that's how they get away with it all. But it's interesting. If we can program these human viruses to go after specific people, and we can put it in a certain synthetic adrenochrome coming out of Wuhan, and we can guarantee that if we remove all of their good source, natural source, and make them go get it because they're in this huge negative feedback, right? They're desperate for it. They need it to survive at this point. Mm-hmm. And they go over there and get it. Not only is it going to be traceable back through blood testing, so now we know, right?
Correct. Yes. There's no escaping. If you've used it and you've had the synthetic adrenochrome, it's going to be in you, thus proof.
And if that specific adrenochrome had, and there's some articles talking about how there were 2 strains of the coronavirus, how there's one with Corona SARS-2, and then there was another one that I saw just recently, but didn't verify that there was actually 3 strains of the coronavirus. So which one did we get? I don't know about you guys, but I was sick in early February with pretty much matching symptoms of the coronavirus, and it was awful. I mean, 10 days, I was pretty much non-functioning, but bounced back, feel okay now, no big deal. I wonder if we got some kind of, I don't know if I want to call it a vaccine of sorts, but it's kind of like getting chickenpox. Like, you know, once you get it, you have active immunity for life. Well, what if we getting this attenuated, non-lethal version, it's just kind of like a common cold, but a little bit more severe than that, gave you immunity to this other kind, so there was no way that you would catch it from somebody else, right? I don't know. All theories.
Right. So you're saying there's 2 types of viruses.
They did put out an article talking about there were 2 types of coronaviruses. That was out right now.
Right. So the one that could be tainted, which is their virus, and then the one that we get.
Could be. Yeah. I mean,
incredible
we allowed
theory.
It to happen. If Bill Gates, I mean, who knows, right? he met with Donald Trump for sure. And then the second after Donald Trump called the quarantine and the travel ban was when Bill Gates dumped his Microsoft stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting timing.
So do you think, and we talked about this off air, so you think that Donald Trump was like, listen, we want the patent for this. We want the blueprints to this virus so that maybe we can combat it or make a synthetic version of this?
Yeah, and he probably just allowed him to go back into the system and let it be as normal. Like, I don't think the deep state, I really do think that they thought this was their virus. This is why you see them playing it like crazy. Oh, it's the end of the world. It's going to kill everybody. And, you know, they're basically setting up through fear mongering and propaganda, the allowance and justification of Trump to set up National Guard. You know, no one's denying that this is a serious pandemic right now, quote unquote. So who's arguing with him for the National Guard to go out? Nobody.
Right.
But then what you see are people start seeing tanks and Apache helicopters. Mm. I didn't remember the last time we fought viruses with Apache helicopters and tanks.
That's a good point. Right.
I don't remember the last time we did that. And
right.
We're not talking one city. We're talking multiple cities.
Yeah. Especially so the ones with the highest indictment count, right, my friend?
Dude, I'm telling you, and we're talking New York and California are going first, and they got some serious I mean, Trump says that's the number one hotspot for coronavirus. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting why they put the National Guard there in New York. I think it was the day of or the day after Trump had that quarantine and travel ban talk. They were already there outside of some health building in Rochelle, New Rochelle. Mm-hmm. I think that's right.
Yeah, which is only a hop, skip, and a jump from HRC of our home.
Right. You right down the street? Mm-hmm. Imagine that. But that's just a coincidence, though, right? That's right. Just a coincidence.
But as we're told, we're not supposed to believe in those, correct?
No, dude. You can't believe in coincidences.
Right.
So... theory, right? 4:10, here comes the tweet. Boom, he gets on Air Force One, takes off. It's a Friday. It matches the Q post. 11:04 mirrored is the next day. We start seeing confirmation to the public, and people will not accept. It's interesting. So if that's the confirmation we're giving, does that mean that the arrests have already happened, or does that mean that the arrest will start to happen?
Correct.
And I don't have the answer to that. I have no idea. Now, 4/1 just so happens to be a special day. You know, it's April Fool's Day, too. Mm-hmm. Someone was talking about how a different calendar, the Hebrew calendar, it's significant on that day. So 4/1 being April Fool's Day, it's kind of like important to other people. And I wonder if that's the significant, 10 days of darkness, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 4:10, boom, all of a sudden Trump shows up. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe the 10 days of darkness doesn't even happen. Maybe we don't need it.
I thought, and this is just from what me and another Anon had talked about at JC Parker 369. Most of you on this channel know who I'm talking about. We've talked about that. If there was a 10 days of darkness, I believe that's if they weren't able to take control of the boards, which they have done. The boards have stayed up, but if they weren't able to stay up, then expect 10 days of darkness. I don't know. So
are you thinking it would be just Aiken?
No, I think it would only be
media.
No, I think the only form of communication would be for the emergency broadcast system.
So everything, all internet, including banking systems and commerce, would go down.
If things did not go as planned. But again, we are watching a movie, so it's a theory of our own that we thought about. If things went south, that would have to take place, and we would have 10 days of off grid. Very dangerous. Obviously, we have generators and so on and so forth for medical assistance, but the only form of communication, hence maybe that's why they were testing out the emergency broadcasting system over almost 2 years ago, correct?
Yeah.
Just a theory.
And I was told by someone that I know personally, he's a data guy. He's a data collection. He gets contracted by big people, hospitals, emergency systems. Google is a client. His instruction, and he was given federal passes, including fuel passes, so that he can get gas whenever they shut the fuel tanks off. And I quote exactly what he said. His main job, though, is to make sure the internet does not go off for those people.
You're absolutely correct. We have truckers in the audience who have actually, one from Pennsylvania, one from Texas, and I believe one from Florida, have all gotten the same paperwork saying that they have to have this paperwork enabled in order for them to get supplies and so on and so forth. So I don't know. It puts them ahead of if this country locks down.
Knowledge curve. Yeah.
If the country locks down, they are the ones who have to deliver the foods and the goods and services. And they've all gotten the exact same paperwork.
So then what would it be? Would it be a temporary, like you get to go out during certain hours, but then there's a curfew?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Trump told us he's going to keep all the grocery stores open so that we can go get food. It would be bad if we had to go 10 days. I don't know that a lot of people have maybe 10 days worth, and maybe they did, but they ate half of it on day one quarantine. Who knows, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But the grocery stores being open, I think, is pretty crucial. So having this happen is cool. Even more confirmation that there's going to be an escalation of events. So even though we have this cure of sorts, hydroxychloroquine, which they've known since the 50s is great for antiviral for a lot of virus or viral infections. And then we've known from maybe it was the 90s, 2000s, that it was cures for partial cancers, some cancers. That's pretty damning evidence to suggest that we've known of these things, but instead we're given vaccines, or instead we're given different types of drugs, which are more expensive, cancer treatments, which are more expensive. And this hydroxychloroquine is super cheap and can be made in abundance. Big pharma, people are questioning that. So once again, is another proof that this whole movement is being used to benefit Trump and the plan. And we're talking even proof that big government is just inefficient and cumbersome. So what we are showing is the private sector is more beneficial, more efficient.
Yes.
Huge, huge, huge win. Democrats, media, blowing it completely out of proportion. Oh my God, it's complete panic. And we want to fearmonger everybody. I had my grandma. She got told she had to go into quarantine because she's in a nursing home and somebody had been in there that was sick. She didn't ever have any symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
But, she's scared shitless. And she's watching CNN and they're telling her that, this is the apocalypse, basically. And so she's calling me and I'm like, please, just go watch anybody else talk. Go to C-SPAN, go watch these individual people talking. If it's Mike Pence, if it's this group, the coronavirus team, or if it's Donald Trump himself, listen to what they have to say. And then, of course, she did. And I think that was the day that he had the press conference. And she called me later and she was like, oh, I was so impressed. He handled that so well. Man, I really hated that guy. But wow, I think when this is all over, people are going to change their minds. I mean, she's in her 80s and she has dementia. If she can figure it out, how many people are going to as well figure it out?
The left is hanging themselves. They're doing everything that he's so quick with them. He's playing them. And
totally.
For all of us that are well aware of if it wasn't for Q, in all honesty, I think I would be terrified. If I did not know what was going on, I think I would be extremely anxious, in all honesty.
Well, and exactly. And that's exactly what happens is when you don't know or when you don't have control, then you freak out. People have panic attacks and they look at other people having the same panic attack and they only escalate themselves.
Correct.
So it gets out of control. And I think that they had to create a plan that would allow a certain number of people, even if they were proven wrong by guessing incorrectly on dates, to continue to grow, to be some source of information. Even if you don't believe us, we're crazy. We're the conspiracy theorists. But we gave you a different thought process, and at least some part of that has come in true and can now be even considered highly probable considering the circumstances. People are waking up all over the place, and there are not very many people that I know that don't think something is up. Kind of like we pointed out with the tanks and the Apaches. Like, this is totally unnecessary for something that is not even anywhere near as lethal as, say, the flu, right?
Right. The theory, what you're saying makes complete sense. Why are we seeing tanks being brought in? There is another post. I don't know which one it is, but it also says that people will be rioting in the streets. I also think that that may coincide with the fact that if things went south, perhaps not.
So, and I wonder, I'm willing to bet that the people rioting in the streets are going to be 90% paid people. And we think that was a Q post that was kind of given to us. Like, they're going to be organizing in mass to prevent what is going to be happening, to protest and riot. Antifa, maybe George Soros, who knows?
So this is as I want to change gears here right after this. I'm in South Carolina. Governor McMaster, very close to the president. Also, I have Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott, also very close. Big time. I believe Lindsey Graham is a big time player.
For sure.
What was issued today? I believe it was yesterday actually. That any kind of coming together of I think it was 3 or more people in a public area. Let's say people are hanging out in a parking lot. People are hanging out. I don't know, just places where people shouldn't be kind of getting together. And you bring up Antifa. Maybe that is a nip in the bud for things like this to not take place. I know I'm in South Carolina, and Antifa is, few and far between. But if other states initiate this same kind of control with if you are caught 3 or more to a group, in South Carolina, it's known as a misdemeanor. That's an arrestable offense. I think they are trying to prevent this actually from taking place. Maybe these governors know. Remember, he just spoke to them yesterday. The president had a talk about this. So maybe it is, in fact, he's watching out for these paid, these paid people that go out there and ignite violence.
Well, and even furthermore, school shootings, which they can't happen because schools are closed. Mm-hmm. Big sporting events are closed. If you don't have more than 3 people close to each other, there can be in no way, shape, or form a mass casualty event without bringing in some kind of bomb or, worse than that. Who knows? Mm-hmm. So we're preventing them from changing the narrative. Nothing can stop what is coming. And it's interesting. Like, this is a tactic we could have used at some point before, but we didn't. And all of a sudden, exactly on dates that line up beautifully, it's happening exactly the way it's supposed to. So it's just like even further confirmation that every step was calculated. This is in a completely genius plan, 20-year military plan in the making, and there are no mistakes. Everything was calculated for, period.
Well, guys, if you're enjoying this so far, we're about to hit the halfway point. If you're enjoying this, please hit that like button. There's over 2,500 people watching right now with only 1,000 likes. I got to see you hit that like button, friends. I got to see you hit that. Also, share this stream. Share it. A lot of people need to take part in listening to this. Incredible information, incredible interview so far. Completely blown away. He's simplifying it for us. He's doing a wonderful job for all of us, for a lot of people who may not know what the hell is going on. A lot of faith is put into this, and I have a lot of faith in this man's journalistic integrity, man. You're killing it. I trust the plan. I trust our president as well. So guys, make sure you show your support and smash the like button. Changing gears, we could talk about this if you don't want to. We don't have to.
Sure.
Okay. Any idea what Madonna meant by fish fry? There's a lot of speculation, a lot of theory on that. If you don't want to take that, we can switch it up.
So I think the theory everyone's pretty familiar with is Albert Fish, right? This guy was like claimed by psychologists as having more sexual deviances and fetishes than ever documented before. They had to basically create their own category for him. This guy was bad, like real bad. And he ended up being electrocuted. We're talking cannibalism. We're talking child rape, pedophilia, and honestly, things I don't even really like saying out loud because it makes me not feel good. But anyway, she's in there talking about fish fry and there's no more pasta. I mean, that's a pretty good theory. That's a pretty good theory that she's talking about how basically it's endgame, it's over. There's nothing else that they can do, and they're probably going to end up with the same fate. And that's a decent theory to think about. It's logical. It makes sense.
Well, we're putting the fear into them that what would be the worst way to go would be the electric chair, right?
Yeah.
Also, Barr bringing back the death penalty.
He totally did, and that is not insignificant.
No.
You know, they fought with that. You know, why did he do that? Why was that necessary? So we could kill some terrorists? I mean, sure, but what's wrong with keeping them at Gitmo?
Right.
I was down with that, right? We're not talking like these people were killing millions, maybe a few thousand. Okay, that's still really bad, but I don't know. It's interesting.
Very interesting. And also, I mean, just to keep going with this, things keep popping in my head that just line up with everything. We had President, this was the second point I meant to ask you today before we went, before we were talking, is that the president also said, besides he wanted to bring the country back out of it, back into work on Easter, he also said that there will be thousands upon thousands of suicides.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, how many coincidences do we need?
Right.
Thousands of suicides, lots of suicides, suicide weekend. Well, that would kind of be like right when it's about to happen, right?
Right.
That's like there's no other place to go. You're forced into a situation where there is no other option. Suicide weekend, boom, it all happens. Coincidence? I don't know. You call it.
Right.
And then, of course, being done on Easter. Easter could be said that Easter weekend starts on Friday. Easter is 4/12. It's on Sunday. Either way, we're going to start having proof. And it's not like on 4/10, if he makes that tweet, all of a sudden it's all done right then and there. There's still going to be additional steps that have to take place that will also take time. But perhaps there will be public confirmation, like it says, and everybody will have a clearer picture. Whether or not they agree with that picture is going to be up to them.
I hope it's in their future, my man.
Well,
I hope these people rot. In all honesty.
Will see. So we do have other comms, right? With some of these celebrities like Ellen DeGeneres, David Blaine.
Did you see the one today with Dwayne Wade?
No.
Oh no, my God. I need to show everyone that. If you haven't seen it, this is insane, bro. I'll just lay it out to you. He's doing like a kid painting on the ground on some construction paper. He's drawing the all-seeing eye in a triangle.
Like, come on, man. Like, are you serious?
And his wife or someone says, "Isn't that the all-seeing eye?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I see you and they see me, the all-seeing eye." He's like, "We're all in this together."
They're being more bold. Their symbolism is sticking out like none other. And even you look at Ellen DeGeneres, right? So she had a little card thing and she drew 2 6s and a 5. That's 17. Tom Hanks, he made a post. It was at 517. That was 1717. Like, so there's definitely comms there. And whether or not those comms are, you know, hey, this is the real deal, we're all in trouble, like there's no way out. Maybe some of them are, or maybe others are saying, you know, hey, Q is real. Who knows? Did they sing? When do birds sing? When they're caged, right?
When they're quarantined, when they're caged.
Yeah, they're quarantined. So what are they doing right now? They're not able to go anywhere, looking like a hot mess. By the way, Madonna cannot sing, and that is terrible. People paid for decades to go watch this person sing in concert, and whatever she did in her little tweet, I don't know what that was, but that was not singing. She was screeching. It's terrible.
There's some comments that are coming through, and another one is, what's y'all's take on Rita Wilson giving out her phone number today?
Yeah, that's real interesting. I don't know what to think about that.
Right.
I don't know yet.
That's another one, and Matthew McConaughey with Witness Room.
Yeah, we're all in here, right? Is that what it said?
Yeah, a witness room, and that is obviously when you, I guess, take part in watching someone get put to death.
Maybe. What if their quarantines are because they need to be stepping away for a while to be having some tribunals? You know, this whole less than 3 being anywhere near each other, think about what in a court system you have. How many people are on a jury? 12.
Yes, 12.
So how many people do you need, even if it's a grand jury, even if it's something, a criminal jury, who knows? There's 12 of them on there at least. You can't even have that because there's this mandate that there's a certain amount of people. So what does that leave? The only way you could try people would be military tribunal. It's an interesting thought process.
Unbelievable. So many great points. We know something is happening. Let's transition a little bit. We don't have to answer this either, but I appreciate you asking the last one. What we know through the Podesta emails, I did a podcast on this today because I told you off air that the same Podesta art pictures that were up, that have been up, there were only about 20 to 30 that all of us know. We know which ones they are. I just so happened to type that in today, and there were over 100 of these pictures that I had never seen before. I put many of them in the podcast out there today, guys, if you want to check it out. So what we know through Podesta emails, Q speaking of Moloch and Marina Abramovic, are we dealing with a holy war right now? Are we fighting against something of non-flesh and bone?
I mean, Q says it's going to be biblical. And how many times does he give us Bible verses, put on the armor of God? This stuff is, I truly believe that we're dealing with people who either are demon possessed or lack a soul, or something has happened to them in some way, because normal human beings with a conscience, with a soul, with moral conviction, you look at a child, you don't have these types of thoughts. It doesn't occur to you that there could be potential sexual relations with that child. Forgive, even eating them, that makes me sick to even think about. And you could throw animal abuse into the same scenario. Normal people don't do these things. And so if somebody was capable of it, you would have to think that they were either being controlled somehow, or that they completely lacked a soul and any type of moral conviction whatsoever. And some people just want to see the world burn, right? And we're talking pure evil. And there's always a duality. And we could go all day talking about quantum mechanics and how energy and vibration is the system of the universe, and everything relates. But if there is a evil side, there must be a good side. And if they're evil people are who we are fighting, then this is for sure a holy war. Spiritually, look at Eminem. He has a song called My Darling, where he literally talks to Satan, has a little argument with him about how he doesn't want to do it anymore. But the devil says, oh, it's too bad. You remember that night you sold your soul to me, said I'll do anything if I could become a famous rap star. There's so many people who admit that they have, quote unquote, sold their soul. And to what degree you believe that to be accurate and not metaphorical, it's interesting. So many different tangents and ways you could go down this to think out logically how this could be true. And some of those get pretty deep.
Yeah, one of those things that I bring up a good bit on this show is the fact that we know 100% that they are worshiping something.
For sure.
Moloch, Baal, whatever, same thing, same entity, if you want to. Some people say that. And then why would they be doing this? Why would they be doing this if they weren't getting anything in return? Obviously.
It doesn't make sense. There's a why for everything. You're right. You don't waste energy on stuff that doesn't give you something in return.
Correct.
It just doesn't happen. So for every action, there is a why. And we're talking the richest, most powerful people in the world literally worship Satan. Literally worship him. They got little secret occult meetings, and if you tell anybody about them, they'll kill you.
Right.
And in order to even get in, you have to do these obscene, horrid things, and they're going to videotape you and basically hold that as blackmail. And if you ever go sideways, they're going to use it as evidence and be like, look, this person, you know, they're this Lone Ranger bad person. Look at Jerry Sandusky. Isn't that interesting?
Right.
I mean, he was basically thrown out. And as was, who was that Subway sandwich guy? Jared. Fogle.
Mm-hmm.
He was basically thrown out as well. So, and then you could talk about Michael Jackson and why he died. You know, speculation all day on whether or not he was saying, you know what, I'm done playing your game or not. To what extent is there control, or to what extent is there possession? And does it require, you know, who knows?
So many names. Robin Williams, right?
For sure.
All these Red Scarf killings. Standard Hotel. I mean, people, you've got to understand.
On the sense of like celebrities dealing with kids.
Yes.
Right? Linkin Park. I don't know why his name is slipping my mind right now. Chester Benningfield. Bennington. That's it. And he looks like a spitting image of what would be the son of John Podesta. Wow. Was molested as a child. Wow. Was doing something with his friend in regards to helping out children. All of a sudden he dies.
Eradicated.
Right? Dude, done. So who are killed and who are just dying? I don't know.
We may never know. I hope one day we do. I've talked about this many times. I want full disclosure. Yeah,
I do too. I think it's important, like, because we need to make sure that this kind of thing never happens again. And people need to know it'll cause a paradigm shift. It'll cause people so much anger and pain that they do a full reversal and boomerang slingshot themselves onto the good side, wherever they are, you know. Maybe they're still sleeping, but to be shown this kind of truth and to have it be definitive, undeniable, knowingly, like, and they got it all, like all of it. Just show it to us. If you gotta keep some stuff secret because of national security, I mean, like, I guess, but I want to know all of the basics for sure. And then the details about Hillary Clinton need to be 100%.
That's interesting. You bring that up today in the podcast. I dropped of General Flynn's attorney talking about if you the person who should be being investigated at this point should be Hillary Clinton over the Anthony Weiner laptop.
She did at that college, right? She was speaking.
She basically said verbatim what was in posts.
Yeah, exactly. It is wild. General Flynn's attorney. Wow. How does she know that information?
Because it exists. People say no.
It totally is true. Oh, it's a LARP. It's fabricated. It's all Russian conspiracy. It's the Russians.
People,
no,
I know
it's the Russians.
It's very hard. It's very hard for a lot of people. It's very hard for a lot of people to go there in their heads that these people are actually killing and eating children, eating pineal gland. And the fact that you really can look at them as they're just bad people, I just can't. It escapes me that people actually think that these people are still human beings. There's no way. There's no way.
Well, not only that, but they have proof that they have adrenochrome in the wine in a WikiLeaks email that was sent to Kate Middleton and Angelina Jolie, amongst other elite people, from this guy that I have no idea who he is. But he talks about how he knows there's adrenochrome. Actually, what he says specifically is tannin from the adrenal glands in the wine. And so that's a direct quote. And he's not scared of the DEA. So maybe that's how they're hiding it, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And that's a WikiLeaks email, straight up. And I should make sure that everybody's understanding this. The pineal gland, the reason that they like that is not because of the adrenochrome. That's epinephrine's adrenal glands. But DMT comes from the pineal gland and is secreted in high concentrations, mostly at birth and at death. And then it is also able to be secreted during deep meditation and relaxation. People say, I don't know because I've never done it, but people say it is your connection to other dimensions, to be able to speak to other dimensions. And so the hallucinations are wild. Two different substances, two different things, but they want them both, right?
Mm-hmm. You're right, man. I want to. I think people get this. That listen, these people are addicted to this. They have to have it, and if they don't have it, they die out, or it's tainted. One of the two. Their supply's cut off, or it's tainted. One of the two.
It doesn't really even matter which one it is.
No. It's. I think that we've won as long as they meet their end.
That it would be on the chemical shape, like the amount of coincidences involving the white rabbit, plus all of the pictures of people wearing rabbit suits. It's like, this is definitely it. How could it be anything else?
I want to say something real quick, my man. Sure. I have never, not one time, out of all the interviews I've done, out of all the times I've done this, have an icon come up on this that said your internet connection is low.
Dude, they're I'm glad I'm not on video right now.
Yeah.
They're probably watching this. Who knows? Maybe, are you going through YouTube? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Zoom and then onto YouTube.
I mean, it's interesting. You were talking about them releasing those images. There's more Podesta images of artwork on Google these days. Mm-hmm. And it did seem that the floodgates were opened and censorship was removed from internet. I mean, I was on Twitter. I was probably doing about 300 to 400 followers a day. I have this little program that tells me I like to watch to see what Twitter does. It's like funny. Every day I have people that like 100 of them or 70 of them will unfollow me. You know, I wonder how many of those are suspensions or maybe people disagreeing with what I have to say. Who knows? But I was averaging 300, 400 every day. I would have new followers. All of a sudden, for a week straight, it was 2,000 a day out of nowhere, like flipping a switch. And I remember that now that it lined up with Google. All of a sudden you have an internet search about, say, QAnon, and it shows you this unlimited amount of all the QAnon stuff. And there's so much. Mm-hmm. Before, you would see, all right, type in QAnon, and it would show you a couple things, maybe stuff that got a lot of traffic, but then it would also show you stuff that was making fun of it or calling it a LARP or fake or crazy, who knows. But now, search anything. It's like wide open. Facebook, they're not necessarily just kicking you off for any of the stuff you're posting. On Twitter, it seems like it's unlocked. I wonder if because we're in quarantine, everyone's at home, they're already questioning, this coronavirus, we're overreacting about it. I got some crazy friends who are saying this is Q stuff and trust the plan, and these people are sick and something about a white rabbit and I don't even know. And what do? They hop onto Twitter, they hop onto Facebook or Google, they start making searches, right? What are they going to see? They're going to see the truth.
And I really hope, and one of the biggest things that was eye-opening is if you go to James Alefantis' Instagram, I hope that's been completely lifted. That algorithm over that. Guys, if you don't know, if you're having a good time, this is so informative, enjoyable, please, my friends, subscribe to this channel. Please share this. And if you wouldn't mind, please show some support. Also, please follow IET at inevitable_ET. I say his name just about every other day on this channel. So it's great having him here. So please, if you're not following him, follow him right now. I would greatly appreciate it. I have one more question for you, and I think a lot of people are really interested in this.
Shoot, let's hear it.
All right. With the way the stock market is going, and on the minds of many, and the way that Trump is treating the Fed, do you foresee a financial reset?
Wow, it's interesting, right? So a group of us on Twitter did a whole Twitter thread and research on the Act of 1871 and basically how it applies to creating a corporation out of our country. They altered our Constitution by changing a couple words, changing some capitalization, and all of a sudden now, instead of being a sovereign nation, we were tricked into following this new Constitution, which enslaved us all to debt. And that debt was owned by the Federal Reserve. The reason they got it is right after the Civil War, we were very much in debt. And as a floundering nation, we needed to get some sort of kickback, some sort of bailout to keep we had just formed in 76. We're good, right? All of a sudden we're broke. Oh, it's not going to be good anymore. So we sold our debt to some banksters in England, and they were also known as the Rothschilds. This type of system was set up all over the world where they would come in and buy government's debt. The debt was created by wars that were funded by the original banksters on both sides. And they would control who wins or who loses in order to implement their central bank. They have interest rates. They create currency out of stuff that's not backed by anything with real value. They take all the gold. Now you have these grandiose IOUs, just like paper money. It doesn't have any value to it. We just say it does. So it's like a receipt that says, here, you're allowed to do commerce in this area. Here you go. But we're creating perpetual debt. And so our citizens, and you can go read it's my page. It's really in depth and pretty long, but worth the read. If you look,
it's incredible.
Yeah. If you look into what is happening, so that video, everybody, Q's told us so many times to watch it. This video will get Donald Trump elected. Starts off the very first sentence. Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new one created and controlled by you, the American people. Not the word created, but controlled by you, the American people. So in order to do that, we would have to come out from under the control of the Federal Reserve. There are so many things that he is doing, and I would even go as far as to say 99% of his actions are directly related to undoing what has taken place due to this corporation being founded. We have to go back to a system where all this stuff is taken away. And that includes income tax, where we are taxed unconstitutionally. But since we all agreed based upon this corporation, and you put your footprint on your birth certificate, which is also identifies at the bottom as being a U.S. banknote, you agreed to be indentured to their debt system. So they get to tax your income. You never get ahead. And they control the money flow and how the disparity occurs between the elite, them, and us. And the middle class is becoming a lot more of the lower class, and poverty is going everywhere. Oh, don't worry, we're going to come in and save you. We'll adjust the rates, but we never get out of debt. So we have to end the Federal Reserve, have to end the IRS. We have to stop unconstitutional taxes. Trump talks about in several articles how he would like to go back to the gold standard. There are so many articles written about how certain lawmakers are fearful of him going to the gold standard. So you're seeing them being panicky about it a little bit. Q says we have the gold and it ends the Fed. Like, there's so many things pointing at this happening. It's really easy to believe that this actually will happen. And
Correct.
people I don't think really think about how big that is. I mean, the Federal Reserve, they own the U.S. government's debt. The U.S. government, outside, as well as the U.S. Department of Treasury, but they also, own all the student loans, right? Mm-hmm. And we have the FDIC, which ensures private banks, make sure that their assets are protected. And we, as the people, can get loans from either the government or private banks. Either way, you end up being all the way back up at the Federal Reserve. If the Federal Reserve, which was unconstitutionally founded in its very nature, and owns all of the government's debt, and by consequence, all of the debt is removed, what happens to that debt? And then we could speculate all day long on how we're going to get paid back all of the money that they took from us. And we're talking trillions.
Right. The streets would be paved in gold.
I mean, we're talking at least 800 trillion that I can count on, for sure. But perhaps more if we talk about the executive order and how many assets we've seized from all these people that we're talking about. And they have a lot of money. So
he can seize it. I see him. He does not like what they're doing. The more he talks about it, I think the more and more people, I mean, there are a lot of key words that perks everyone's ears up because everyone knows what Q has said. Everyone knows what Anons have said. And everyone perks up when he starts saying these key words. And every time he mentions the Fed, I'm just like, he's going after them baby steps.
Totally. I mean, you have to do it not so fast because you want people to become accustomed to a new normal. And every step of the way, it creates a little bit more comfort. You don't have this mass panic or anybody not understanding.
I agree, my man.
So I want to continue. If you got a second?
Absolutely. I have to give some shout outs to some super chats, and then we still have about 45 minutes left. You finish up.
Give your shout outs.
All right, and then I have 4 rapid fire questions, and then we'll take, like you said, about 7 phone calls. Okay, top 7. Okay, sure. Does that sound good to you?
That's good for me, man.
All right, Bubba. Let me go ahead and do some shout outs, my friends. Thanks to everybody who liked, subscribed, shared this. It's not over, baby. We still got about 45 minutes left, so make sure you keep that support coming in. And again, thank you, IET, for jumping on board with us. I appreciate it, my man.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
Patriots Revenge, thank you so much for the super chat. Says standing tall and proud with all Patriots. Where we go, when we go, all. Thank you so much, Patriots Revenge. I appreciate it. Appreciate it, Bubba. Also, we have. Let me, if my mouse would work. Joe, thank you so much. She says, thank you, IET and Thomas. We love you. Joanna Dillon, thank you. She says, I love the truth. Where we go, when we go, all. Tricky Hickey 3, thank you so much, my friend. New name, by the way. The date and timestamp of the article in Q post 3898 equals 17. Very interesting, my man. Paul Marshall, thank you so much. He says, quantum grammar, quantum elemental chart, quantum economy, etc. Paul, I'm not sure what you mean.
Yeah, he's talking about, the name just slipped my mind, is that video, War Castles.
I've heard people talk about that. Okay.
That's how they use certain grammar and syntax to trick you, fool you into different things.
Got you. Eric Anderson, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, Q Post 777 says MK Ultra plus Big Pharma plus Mobile Tech equals the Matrix. Me and IET talked about that off air about the Matrix. Misty Mountain Cop 95B says China virus equals way for the elite to save the USA money for trials, perhaps. Raging Patriots 78 says best podcast ever. Thank you, my friend. That's a new name, by the way. Lisa Pack says thank you very much. You're welcome, Lisa. All-time donator as well. And if you want to comment on any of these, you're more than welcome to. Buck Swain, thank you. What's one of my mods? Thank you, Bubba. He says, remember several months ago when Hellas landed in LA in the dead of the night and stormed a building and took out what appeared to be a body, possibly related. Remember that?
No, so I remember. So like
that
they brought the military in and they totally raided a building and they did pull a body. I don't remember all the details, but there were some actionables before for sure.
Mm-hmm. That was crazy. That was a really good actually breakdown from Red Pill 78. That was one of the first videos I saw of him.
Oh, by the way, I was talking to him earlier,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, hey, you should come on there with me. And he's like, yeah, I totally will.
I got him. I can,
because you
Yeah.
You gonna pull him in? Yeah.
I will pull him in. I'll put him to the top for sure.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right, we'll continue forward. Mary Hoffman. Oh, no, excuse me. Teresa Nault says, any thoughts on Canada and our prime minister?
Yeah, so his wife contracted the coronavirus, right?
Mm-hmm.
follow the wives. It's real interesting. Spanish prime minister also contracted the coronavirus. And we all know Justin Trudeau, he has his coincidences as well, and all of his friends that
his foundation
happen to be, like he's got his symbolism and all his people he hangs out with pretty much shining a pretty big light on him.
Absolutely.
There's that theory going around that he's already been arrested. I have not seen any verification of that, and I don't necessarily know that that's true. Could be a rumor started that's really likable because it gives us what we want to hear, but maybe it is true, maybe it's not. I know for a fact that it's not verified.
Mary Hoffman says, you guys rock. Thomas, you are the news now. God bless you, an inevitable ET. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Mary. Jonah Berlin, thank you so much for the super chat. Jonah, Katie Fortson says, what's y'all's take on Rita Wilson giving out her phone number today? We already covered that. Thank you for the super chat, Katie. Chris Hawkins says, God's day begins in the evening with us. We are with our families and peeps. Saturday is the Sabbath. So with that said, 4:10:20 through 4:12:20, just before the evening. It's very interesting.
So there's a theory that I was talking about with Beer Parade. You know, you are watching a movie. This is a movie. If they shut everything off, this is just a theory, just a logical thought though. If they shut everything off and all of a sudden there's an emergency broadcast that comes out, hey, I want you to turn on to this channel. And everybody there who's at home, who all gets it, turns on the TV, and the only thing that's on is essentially a documentary of what has just occurred, where there's no media who could say this is twisting it this way or taking it out of context that way, and all proof is shown. And you have nothing else to do but sit there and watch the whole thing. The whole world is watching. It's interesting.
I know,
I don't know if that's true or not. And listen, you shouldn't quote me on that, but
those thoughts run through my head. I know I've talked about it, and again, it's just a theory, speculation, but very well could come to fruition. Kanish, thank you so much. All the time donator says, fried fish is synthetic adrenochrome. Fried is high, like adrenochrome, and fish has gross sexual connotations in Urban Dictionary. Thoughts? Could be.
I can see the connections there. I go always to Occam's razor. You know, usually the most simple explanation is usually the correct one. It's not to say that there aren't some pretty deep connections that are made. And obviously this is written by high IQ people, but it could be for sure. I don't know. I had to have to look into it.
Michelle Epp, thank you so much for the super chat. Jagged Little Red Pill says, thank you for the super chat. POTUS said this could end by Easter because people commit suicide during things like this and a lot of other things. Presser yesterday, we talked about that. Jagged Little Pill, thank you so much for the super chat. Jacinda Cox says, compare Not Afraid instrumentals to Q Victory song. Compare Not Afraid to instrumentals.
He sent out a couple of songs. I remember listening to the Victory ones. I mean, they're all about developing emotion, right? It's energy waves. And like anything else, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So when we listen to certain sounds, it causes our body to have certain thoughts, certain physiological changes, certain perspectives, turn certain things on, turn other things off. I mean, your frequencies and those that you experience have everything to do with what it is you think, what it is you do, how you feel. So I wonder, it's very curious if we're having any special frequencies whenever we are listening to things like that.
Yeah, I've talked about a ton of frequencies on here, 432 hertz, everything, so on and so forth.
Oh, yeah, 432, 440, for sure.
For sure. The Real Severe, my man, what's up? By the way, Wake 'em Up Wednesday starts tomorrow with Polar Bear Smack and Severe Anon. So Real Severe says, hey, Thomas, my rainfall video says it all. IET retweeted it, so he says thank you very much.
Yeah, I listened to that song a couple of times. I actually like it a lot. I mean, I think everybody likes rap music because it's got great beats and it makes you have like an increased energy. That's the type of thing that rap brings for people.
Absolutely.
And so but they have such trash music right now.
So
everything
bad.
They're talking about is so degrading. It's terrible.
Demonic.
And to hear yeah, to hear somebody have a positive message on rap, it can almost like rewrite how that frequency affects you. And you have to wonder how many subliminal and subconscious things occurred to people whenever they were listening to these cool beats, right? These energy drives they get from listening to it.
I agree. From Christy Shea Coffee Burkett says, President Trump showed a card in Sunday's briefing. Did not see that. Very interesting, Christy. But the Mikado 16, he says, if you don't follow IET, what are you even doing? That's very funny. Good one. I love the Mikado. DFY says, thank you for the truth and the show, fellas. Pray and stay strong. It's time to fight. Absolutely, DFY. That's a new name. Wesleyan Lehman, thank you so much for the super chat, my man. James Bone, we are the 14th Amendment slaves. I'm not too keen on the 14th Amendment, in all honesty.
It basically says that we're property via debt to the government. So it basically tells each citizen that they're following underneath the Act of 1871 and the corporation. We're now citizens of their property. I mean, just look at your driver's license, your credit card, your bank statements, your birth certificate. Your name should have just your first letters of each word capitalized, but it doesn't. It's in all caps, just Correct. Like how they changed the Constitution to all caps, right? This creates you as a corporate asset, corporate entity. And so the 14th Amendment is referencing that. It's also referencing several other things. It can be applied to a lot of stuff, but
makes plenty of sense. Sense. Bert, or excuse me, says the Mikado 16. Would the price of gold skyrocket if we do? I guess he's talking about in this era.
I think absolutely, right? So you're going to have some fluctuation with it. It's going to do some ups and some downs. But if the Federal Reserve ends and we go to a gold standard, the price of gold will skyrocket, in my personal opinion. It will go off the charts. If Absolutely. You're going to get any, you should do it now. It's a safe bet. It's not going to lose a whole lot of value. Even if we did crash the economy, gold is still like a physical value that you can hold in your hand. And so it's always going to maintain some value. So safe, low risk, potential extremely high reward. Man, if I had a whole lot of extra cash right now, it's exactly what I'd be doing with it.
I agree, my man. Time to invest. Bert says, are there any individuals currently misrepresenting, I know where he's going with this, the Q community that IET would like to comment on? Bert, thank you so much for the super chat.
So, listen, I know who we're talking about. And the message we're getting from people who support certain people and those who don't support it is that you should not tell anybody what to think. You know, it's a thing that Q and the whole movement is about, is think for yourselves. And I agree, you should. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read a Q post, right? Okay. And you can take it for whatever it's worth. It's anybody that wants to follow. If you want to pull it up, it's 1339.
All right, give me a second. What's the number again, my man?
1339. And if you just want, just read it, and then this will make complete sense, I think, for a lot of people.
Here we go. Expand your thinking. Why are we being attacked? Well, it starts off, be careful who you follow. May 11, 2018. Expand your thinking. Why are we being attacked? Why are we being attacked by people who claim to be pro-POTUS? Do we have a face? Do we have a name? Do we have or use platforms whereby we collect followers? Selfless, zero vanity. Why are we here? Why do we ask questions? The choice has always been yours. Use logic, free information. What draws people here? Expanding exponentially? They all claim to be insiders. They all claim to have insider contacts. They do not. Patriots do not reveal classified information. Why do we communicate this way? Think for yourself. It's clickbait. We are a threat to profiteering. Information should flow freely without cost. We establish a series of proofs for this specific reason. Undeniable, unpredictable, coincidence after coincidence. growth due to confirmation. We are real sources communicating with the people, unrestricted, together, control the information, they harness followers and profiteering, they define media, primary goal of the media, to sell, each selling a different narrative, set of targets. Selling makes money. Be careful who you follow. Define patriot. They want you divided. Attacks will only get worse. Q.
Now, I'm going to interrupt you right there
Go
because
for it.
Q always says think mirror. So for those of you who have it pulled up, read the entire post in reverse. And line by line, it will have a new meaning and will give a different explanation.
Oh my God. All right, I'm not going to. Do you want me to read this backwards?
No. That's going to take too long.
Yeah.
So, but for those who want to, 1339, you can read it forwards and then you can read it backwards.
Incredibly interesting, dude. Wow. I will do that as soon as this is over.
So that being said, there are no outside comms, period.
Correct.
We said that multiple times. You either trust the plan or not. All right, disinformation is necessary. But why would you go, like, let's say for myself, Q has quoted one of my tweets 4 times.
Congrats.
If I go on there and I ask Q, whoever that person may be, if you could please post on the board using your trip codes that we can help verify. And instead I get attacked. That's division. That doesn't make sense to us. Why would you do that to the people you're trying to unite? This movement is where we go one, we go all, not where we go one, you can go F yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wants the big name accounts to split up. He's trying to get people to come off of Joe, to come off of Praying Medic, to come off of Jordan Sather, to come off of, he just calls them all out. Why? It almost seems like a lot of the people may be getting confused, but it also seems like there are certain Twitter accounts that were maybe perhaps made to promote this. And so when you read this Q post in reverse, it kind of like conveys that as a message. It's interesting.
This is spooks.
Totally.
And a lot of people are triggered. You got a lot of learning to do, my friends. All right. You're Abundant says, what about this doctor? Great question. What about this doctor found pics of him with a George Bush Jr. and an actress Sharon Stone? What is with that? Is he a white hat or a puppet? I'm so confused. Thank you.
So we're talking about the same person, right?
Fauci.
Oh, Fauci. I mean, it's very interesting. Did you guys see the look on his face whenever Donald Trump said the deep state department?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could barely contain his laughter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know that he has done some shady stuff. He hangs out with some shady people.
Mm-hmm.
But could he be on one side and then all of a sudden on another? Could he have been flipped? I have no idea. Is he a bad actor? I don't know. Is he going to be one of the ones that is close to Donald Trump that contracts the coronavirus that could potentially infect Trump with it? I don't know. It's a theory, though. Could happen, right?
Wow.
If you're keeping your friends close and your enemies closer, how do you go step by step, knowing that they may potentially use this avenue to take you out as a way that would only hurt them and benefit you? Mm-hmm. He needs to get aboard Air Force One. I think this is how he's going to get it done. But how do they get to him? How do they get him in proximity to the coronavirus?
Right.
Who knows? And didn't he say something funny about how this is going to turn serious? Didn't that guy say that?
The Surgeon General said it was going to get really bad.
Yeah, he's so like, how the hell do you know that?
Right.
So you're telling me hydroxychloroquine doesn't work? It's going to get so bad that there's nothing we can do about it. Oh no, end of the world. It's fine with me because that's their playbook, right? They want us to fear. They think this is perhaps an actual thing for them. They already do these viruses every 2 years. And so they're trying to do their best to talk it up, and not a whole lot's going to come of that. So, but they may use it to get close to Donald Trump with the coronavirus, and it's a trap.
Yeah.
They have to, though. This is their playbook. They have nothing else they can do.
Right. It's like a form of, I can't say the word because it's definitely a key word, but a form of offing him in a way.
Totally.
Yep. High Hopes, thank you so much for the super chat. Claudette Petchert, thank you so much for the super chat. Michelle Overby, thank you so much for the super chat. And the Mikado 16 says, thank you, IET, True Reporting, and IET, and where I send people after I show them the Joe M video. You two woke me up to Q. I follow you both daily. Thank you, Mikado. Great person. Rockin' Robbie says, never miss a podcast. You rock. Thank you, Thomas. You're welcome. Rockin' Robbie, thank you. Laura QAnon, my friend, hello. Great show, guys. Thomas, you are always great, and inevitable ET is the Q Oracle. Where we go one, we go all. Great post. Lisa Collins says, hence what President Trump means when he says the laws of the Constitution as written in his speeches. Kim Cass, go for it, man.
Yeah. Is that a question she wants answered?
She just says, hence what President Trump means when he says the laws of the Constitution is written in his speeches.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Kim, I want to.
Sure.
Oh, go ahead.
No, my man, go for it.
I was gonna say, this kind of like lines up even more beautifully. Mm-hmm. The planets and stars kind of line up even more so, because if you're gonna undo the Act of 1871 and the corporation, you have to bring the country out of debt, mm-hmm. right? You have to end the Federal Reserve. You have to end the IRS and unconstitutional taxes. You have to go to the gold standard. You have to end all wars and conflicts. You have to basically, if the original Congress and continued forward allowed this to happen, you're going to have to remove all of those elected officials that contributed and potentially have a new election. Mm-hmm. And then what else? What does that sound like, dude?
I don't know. Tell me, what does it sound like?
Does that sound like Nasera to you?
Yes.
Does that sound like Nasera? Now listen, there's a lot of talk about whether or not Nasera is legit, but I'll say this. One, there's a lot of talk online about how Nasera is totally fake. Don't mm-hmm. believe it. It's just a conspiracy theory.
Sounds like shills.
Right? Mm-hmm. Here's the other thing. The person who wrote the monetary and fiscal policy reform known as Nasera mm-hmm. was a dude named Harvey Bernard.
This is going to blow your mind, guys.
He wrote it in 1996. He titled it, and I'm not joking, he titled it Draining the Swamp. Now, Donald Trump says draining the swamp as well. Is that a coincidence? He says that he says that because it was so catchy and everybody loved it, he decided he was just going to keep using it. Are you kidding me? If you're going to undo the Act of 1871, and everything that you would need to do that would be to set up the stage for Nasera to happen, how do you not go from one to another if there was ever a time where this could ever happen? All debt relieved, right? We talked about the Federal Reserve. Mm-hmm. Gold standard, abundance, new government. This would be it, right?
I think this is it, man. I mean, I'm not, there's no more speculation. There's too many.
It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world, right? It's not.
No, it's not.
But if it does.
To many people, it does feel like that who are not knowing.
It totally does. And the biblical connections, the debt jubilee. Q said this is going to be biblical. Watch Donald Trump's video where he's the one that says this is with this video will get him elected. Listen carefully. Seriously, listen. He's talking about undoing the corporation from the get-go. He talks about it the whole thing.
Right.
But if you didn't have that context, you wouldn't necessarily see it. We just see it as, oh, they're an evil deep state and this is how what they got set up. We don't necessarily know how it's legit, how Congress gets away with saying such ridiculous stuff, how we even allow dual citizens to maintain their congressmanship. Like, that should be illegal, but it's not, because we're underneath the corporation, right? Mm-hmm. The flag has the gold fringe, the United States seal on the White House thing. Notice it's gone, right?
Yes. The seal is gone.
And it hasn't come back. it wasn't like it was gone one time and then it was like back the next day. No.
Correct.
It's been gone. So what happened? Right? I don't know if people know, but we also have been paying royalties to the crown.
Yes, we have. I've talked about that many a time on this show.
When Trump went over there, he not only got full color guard, but then he also walked in front of the Queen. And if you know anything about military, your superiors get the first go for everything. When he steps in front of her, that is whoa.
Same thing with the first president being shown the royal city, right? Not royal, but the in China, right?
Yeah, so he got to eat in the Forbidden City, right?
Forbidden City, yes. First president.
I mean, wild stuff. By the way, I happen to think that's when he might have met with Kim Jong-un. He happened to be over there. Forbidden Temple, very secretive. North Korea is kind of like right there by China. It's really easy to get to. Mm-hmm. I don't know, maybe.
George
Soros, he wrote an article about how he thinks President Xi is a dangerous man. So, this whole battle we're having with China right now seems to me very manufactured. George Soros has it figured out. He knows that Xi and Trump and Putin are playing them hard, but he doesn't know what to do about it. China has their own deep state, just like we have our own deep state. They're all connected, but they're in separate countries, right? So we're doing battle with their deep state's economy. I mean, we sold rice to China. Rice. It is
a lot of money.
Exactly. And soy. We sold soybeans to China. It is crazy.
And Soros is he's one of the three sides of the triangle too.
Absolutely. And every country that Trump went to go visit, especially in the beginning, I don't know if you remember, he went to Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. And they had a special sword ceremony. Sure. And he looked in front of this big old crystal ball and they were all touching their hands on it, and it was really spooky looking. Mm-hmm. Like, why did they go so far out of the way in every country to show Donald Trump the most immense respect? They know what they're getting. They're getting sovereignty.
They are. They're getting their deep states are being dismantled, and then power given back to the people. Look what's happened in UK. Look what's happened in Italy. Look what's happened in Ukraine.
Yes,
these people that they're voting in they're anti-corruption.
Totally. And it's really interesting how this is all kind of happening on a timeline that is so specific, so
fast. I know a lot of people are saying this is taking forever, no arrests. Are you insane? Now, perfection takes time.
We're talking about there can be zero mistakes. If nothing can truly stop what's happening, that means that they've looked at every possible scenario and its outcomes and chosen through statistical probability, some of the most complicated equations ever, what was the course of action they were going to take. If they did this, we do this. If they do this, we do this. Algorithm the whole way. And in the end, since it's a chess game, there's nothing they can do. It's checkmate. We got you. And even if it takes us all 4 years and we plan it to end on 4/10/20 DJT, like, are you kidding me?
Right. It's perfectly planned. IET, I've got to finish these because we're going to go over, and I want to get everyone in on this. As many people as I can.
Forever.
All right. I could too. Laura QAnon says, "Great show, guys. Thomas, you're always great and I read that one. Thank you." He says, "You're the oracle of the internet." Lisa Collins, I read that one as well. All right. From Kim Castile says, "Q proof. The Great V Awakening is happening. Many I tried to red pill are blowing up on my phone." Military Mom 17. Thank you, Military Mom 17. A lot of normies waking up. A lot of normies questioning what in the hell is taking place. Very interesting. That's why we're here. Shannon Gamble, thank you so much for the super chat. Elena Shevchik. Wow, big super chat. Thank you, Elena. I appreciate that. Thank you all for the support and believing in this channel and believing in what I do. And B Spain. And Navy Bet. Navy Bet says, "You guys need to watch Freedom Force Battalion. She ties the Bible and stars to Q." Right, the Bible is mentioned a good bit in Q posts. B Spain, "I'm so glad to have made this today. Thanks for this channel. Anybody else seeing normie friends waking up by the handful?" And there's another person. There we go. There we go. I have 4 rapid questions I want to ask you that I wrote down on the way, and then we're gonna open up the phone lines, and then we're gonna get the hell out of here.
All right.
I do not want to keep IET too long. He's got a family, and he's got some beautiful pups too. I love that breed. My favorite breed.
Thank you.
Seth Rich, is he alive? Just yes or no?
Man, you gonna put me on a spot like that?
Or you could say no comment.
I'm gonna go no comment, but there's a lot of shady stuff that is going on with that. There is. You could make points that go either way. All right, go on.
Julian Assange, thoughts?
Julian Assange is a spitting image of John Trump, who was the person who got to have Nikola Tesla's work given to him by the FBI, as he was a super intelligent MIT professor, to include a lot of Nikola Tesla's advanced tech. So is Julian Assange some way related to Donald Trump? Is he his cousin?
Interesting.
I mean, we can go into other theories as well. I believe.
You think he'll be extradited back to America and pardoned?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
If he's not already here,
Correct. JFK Jr., alive or dead?
Come on, man.
No comment.
I think we all would like him to be alive. I think it makes a nice cherry on top. Q did say no. So, and he also did say disinformation was necessary.
Correct.
There are a lot of really weird coincidences involving him, including his magazine with Platform 2020.
Sure.
Pull this out in 20 years.
Sure.
Q saying it's a 20-year military plan on the date that would have put, 20 years to his death. The investigation taking as much time as it did. The cremation, so no proof, no body proof, right? How much money they spent on it. The fact that Hillary Clinton became Senate next. Donald Trump's his best friend. They might have some special tech. I don't know, right? So I watched Fall Cabal, and they make a lot of interesting points there as well. The whole Tiffany blue box given to Michelle Obama was the same thing that allegedly his ashes were put in. And you've seen, and by the way, I don't think Vincent Fuchsia is JFK Jr. He's not the same height.
No.
But I do think it's enough to get us to potentially start thinking it could be a possibility.
Time would stop, my man. Time would stop if he came out of the shadows.
It would, but it's also going to still happen if he doesn't. So regardless of whether or not
very well said,
we're still going to MAGA. We're still going to come out of the Federal Reserve. We're going to do awesome things. But if there was ever going to be a way to unite all of Americans underneath somebody that confirmed everything, that would be the way to do it, I would think.
And finally, time travel, real or fake?
So you got the book, The Last President. You got the book, about Barron Trump and his time travels. You got people looking like certain people, whether they're doppelgangers or reincarnations or related, or who knows. I mean, there's so many to even think about. There's too many coincidences. And Nikola Tesla was a very intelligent man. It's entirely possible, since his work wasn't, classified, that he could have created a way to go back into time through quantum mechanics and bending the universe, bending space and time together. If that was possible, I mean, you talk about confirming to the people that there's an ability to travel through time. That would be something I would think would put a lot of people in the hospital. Even those who are like, all right, yeah, it's possible because we're believing in Q and there's a lot of really weird stuff here. So it's like, we're going to believe more things. But I think true confirmation, undeniable confirmation of time travel would put a lot of people into complete awe and shock.
Yeah, I think it does. I just think it's real, 100% real. I'm gonna open up the phone lines. I want to give. If you can go over, you let me know. If you can't, when we have 10 minutes left in the show, we will move quick as possible. Again, I wanted to, I wanted to make this as comfortable as I could for you. And I really appreciate you doing this. I know there's many a question out there. Hopefully, my man, we can do this again in the near future because so many questions, so many answers.
Yeah, we can do it again. That's fine. Let's bring Red Pill back on with us when we do it again. We'll
Absolutely. Red Pill is going on a show right now and is not able to do that. So he says hello to everyone. I told him he would be the first in line, and he is not able to do it. So we will do it on the next show. How about that?
Sounds good, man.
Perfect. All right, so guys, 2.0 of this show ready to go with Red Pill 78. It's going to be dope. All right, guys, let's go ahead and bring in the phone lines. Okay, if you have a question, please, just questions, just one question for him, and then we got to let him go. He's a busy man. Again, thanks to everyone who donated. As you check out the number right there, I'll go with some more super chats that we keep getting, which is great. Jennifer Boyd, thank you so much. Love and follow you both. Do you think this Adrena issue is connected? Is a connected web they are dismantling? Yes, they are 100% dismantling this.
Yeah, that's like, I think, ground zero.
Yes,
like, that's what connects them all.
I agree. Kiss a Kitty says, how did pick Trump? Did they always know, or was he surprised? Did they pick Trump? How did they pick him?
No, I think so. Donald Trump did a stunt with the FBI back in the 80s. It was like a training program. And then shortly thereafter, people brought up some good points. He sold his casino, which was doing bad, had a lot of debt. He sold his casino to somebody who was doing business with the Rothschilds. I truly believe that he was some part of some sort of group who were doing some infiltrating and needed to get some information by being inside their inside circle. We have pictures of him with the Clintons. We have pictures of him with all of these deep state players. But he was rich and they allowed it. You don't get to be rich in this world unless you're on board with them. Otherwise, they take you out. So, in complete theory here, what if he was trained and taught on how to infiltrate? And he needed somebody to buy his business. And so that's one of the reasons why it did so poorly. And so once he got them to buy in and he was inside their circle, he was allowed to and was privy to more private conversation, more private information. I truly believe he didn't actually do anything. As he admits to himself, he hasn't even drinking alcohol. So he's as clean as a whistle. And he didn't participate in any of these activities, which is why they can't do anything. They can't pin anything on him. They even tried to attach him to a lawsuit with Jeffrey Epstein claiming that they raped, some young girl. It was thrown out. It wasn't even filed correctly. It was that egregious. And so they have nothing on him, but yet he's still in these pictures with them. Logically, one would make, if you connected the dots, it would make sense if he was from a while ago gaining insider information and becoming familiar and trying to figure out this thing from the inside out. I mean, they did the same thing to us, did they not? They put people through Operation Paperclip into our government.
Correct.
And they created the mainstream media and the propaganda stuff with the Bunt-Smith Act. And they basically got us to destroy ourselves from within. It's a system that works great if you have no idea that the person involved is an enemy. And the sign of true intelligence is to be able to pretend to be a fool in front of fools who pretend to be intelligent. How much smarter is Donald Trump? Was he able to really fool these people into thinking he was one of them?
They say he's a silent genius, right?
And he's very good.
He's very, very good at what he does. I'm gonna take some phone calls. People have been waiting. We got a bunch lined up. Remember, guys, mute your stream as we come in live, and I will try and hit everyone. Remember, just one question. If he doesn't want to answer, he's not going to answer. Okay. So we're gonna start with Mel C.
Hey, Thomas.
Hi, Mel C. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. How are you?
So I'm a whimsical conservative over on Twitter, and I've been seeing some really weird comms going on with the celebrities. Yesterday I was on and I had brought up to Thomas about David Spade. So immediately, well, I shouldn't say immediately, but 45 minutes exactly after I posted about Madonna on Twitter, potentially with the comms yesterday coming in from Hanks. 45 minutes later, would you believe that David Spade announced on his podcast, he said the word whimsical? Not exactly a word that works its way into conversations very often. So I'm wondering if you, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go ahead and finish your question.
So I'm wondering if you think that, I know they say there's no outside comms, and I get that. But do you just think that because we've been taught this new way of communicating, that we've just opened up lines of communication in a different way? A sort of like a collective consciousness in a way, if that makes sense. But maybe where they're trying to hijack it. You know,
I see what you're saying. We're looking and seeing what they're doing. They thought they were acting covertly before, and since we have a new set of lenses, we're able to see some connections between times and what is inside their pictures and videos and what they say. Some of the little things that are more discreet give more information than people realize. I think it's also fair to say that because we are looking for there to be comms, we have some sort of confirmation bias where we can make connections maybe where there aren't any. But undoubtedly, we are seeing their communications being something. And I think you're right on. Everything you can find that makes a connection. It's very interesting how it happens, for sure. I know that's not a clean answer for you, but
it's okay. Mel C, thank you so much for the call. I just have to move quickly. Mark Kozlowski. Kozlowski, sorry, my man. What's up?
You did a fantastic job, and I'm actually doxing myself at the moment, I think, so that's okay.
You want me to turn you off?
No, please don't.
Okay.
I would prefer people to actually know who I am, because I've spread this message of love and peace, or love and light around me. So anyways, ET, first of all, somebody mentioned you're the Q Oracle, and you definitely are, man. For everything you do.
I mean, I know, listen, we all learn stuff. I still learn stuff every day. I don't know everything. I did spend a lot of time over the last couple of years researching this, and I was here on 4chan when he showed up. There's a lot of stuff that is still learned today. I appreciate people giving me the enthusiasm and the positive reinforcement, but I don't know about Oracle.
I like the term. I actually love the terminology. My question is, when did you first wake up, man? When did you first realize this is happening? This is it. This is the time. This is where we were meant to do. This is where I'm supposed to be. Because anybody who's listening to us, anybody who's listening to you and Thomas, this is not a coincidence. You need to take that out of it, your mentality. There are no coincidences. All things are connected. Some way along the line, you are meant to be here. Everyone listening to me, Thomas, you, we're meant to be doing everything. Yeah. I was just curious as to how do you know approximately when you realized that was it?
Well, I mean,
great question, Mark. Thank you.
Right?
Thanks.
It was never one thing for me up until I saw there was a video that came out. I think it's titled over 1 million views. And it was it was produced by the group Anonymous, the ones that used the mask from V from Vendetta. And it was talking about the Lolita Express and there being a secret black book. And this was before Q even came out. I found this video off of 4chan. And as soon as Q came on board and all of a sudden, he was confirming all of these things that were said in this video. And I started to research into some of the Podesta art, the Marina Abramovich stuff, like all the satanic, you understand because you see for yourself the true extent of evil. I had known from before in med school that basically pharmaceuticals were creating customers and that there was a lot more to side effects that were dangerous than there were positive benefits to some of their treatments. And that's the way I was trained, in a holistic manner. And so I kind of knew then that there was something wrong, but I never understood why nobody was willing to listen. It wasn't until Q pointed out all this stuff about MK Ultra and the propaganda and the mainstream media and all the connections.
Project Looking Glass.
All of a sudden it makes sense. And really what he's asking of us is that 40,000 foot view is to look down and see how they're all related. Once you have enough of that information and accumulation of experiences to verify, yes, this is something that I think is without a benefit of a doubt true, but it's also related to this. And if that's true, then this is true. And all of a sudden they all connect and you have that aha moment. I mean, I would probably say that happened, after Q was there. I think the first time I got Q'd was in April 2018. And when he quoted my tweet, for me, that was like an exhilarating experience. Like, oh my gosh, Q, he retweeted my stuff. Like, he's watching my account. He believes in what I'm doing. And for me, that was like, all right, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I didn't expect to get to any of the other ones. And it's just even more and more confirmation, right?
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Mark. Thank you so much, my man. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and take a few more. Okay, I know you got to go, my man. I know.
No, you're good.
Okay. 1429. What's up? Welcome to the show.
It's an interesting number.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. What's up, my man? Who is this?
Hey, this is Jeff. I'm calling out of South Carolina. I'm up in Mount Hope tonight. This is also Thomas, Maine Mountain Man. I've been trying to get a hold of you for quite a while. How are you, brother?
We're doing good. What's your question for IET?
Thank you. Well, I would like his take on the disclosure that's supposedly. Have you guys heard anything about the timeline coming of April 22nd, Barack's arrest, and then the timeline of July 24th being disclosure? And then I'd like to have his take on the blue beam sky events that are happening around Israel and around the world.
So I saw that post was it Jerusalem or is it Israel, where they was doing that weird sounds and the sky was contorting and everyone was like, that's Project Bluebeam. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I have not looked into that. Some people are saying it's fake. I don't think you should take anything with a degree of certainty. I think you should look into it. As far as alien disclosure is concerned, I have no idea if that's going to happen. That's not my expertise. I usually look to Jordan Sather for any type of alien tech or extraterrestrial activity. He's the guy that I think knows the most about it. And then as far as Barack Obama on April 22nd, I haven't heard that theory. If you have any more contextual pieces of information that would make that true, I'd love to hear it, but I don't know when the arrests are going to happen. I just have no idea.
I agree. 2261, what's up? Welcome to the show. What's your name?
Hey, my name is Jay. I just wanted to say, hey, what's going on, guys? Great podcast tonight. And I wanted to say, I remember, Tom, when you, a while ago, you were talking about Disney World and the security guard, and he got in a shootout with one of the guys that worked there in the, one of the Epcot rides in the farmhouse with the, Masonic compass in there and everything. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
No wonder why they shut down Disney World. They're probably looking into there, too. Mm-hmm. And all these celebrities, they're all freaking out and everything. If you look at the one picture of Tom Hanks, there's a barcode on top of the door. That was definitely a military facility that he was in. And then, coincidence that him and Madonna are both putting compass, typewriters, in both of their posts. And if you look at his and Oprah's posts that they put up, they're not on their phones anymore. They're on a computer. And then on top of that, Kevin Bacon, he had a thing on E where he brought up a black pig chalkboard. And what I was thinking of, the reason why he brought that in there, tag 6 people that you know and the person that you're with, they're trying to find out who all has been locked up and interrogated already. And the pig, I think, is representing Animal Farm, the lower class taking over the big class. So with them all, trying to talk to one another in code and everything. So do you think that they have a hidden card in their back pocket that they're going to use like an EMP and try and go underground, because I've been looking at a lot of things like from the past and recently, and it's just like they're like talking about it in like, you know, the numbers like gematria or whatever it is. So I was just wondering, you think that, you know, they might have that possibility of being able to do that?
Interesting
I think some
subject.
of them have been captured. I think it's also interesting the subject of the white rabbit, follow the white rabbit, and then it asks, you know, how deep do the rabbit holes go? And well, what are rabbit holes? I mean, they're really just tunnels, right? And where are they? They're underground. So we're talking about underground tunnels, and we know that there's earthquakes going off. So where are they? Well, Q also says these people are stupid. And another word for stupid is dumb. And dumb is also an acronym for deep underground military bases. So in my opinion, a lot of these people are trying to make their way into these vast underground cities, these vast underground strongholds. I think they're called bolt holes. And maybe they're there. Maybe that's why we've had so many earthquakes. I do think that some of them will try to go there. I do think some of them have actually already been apprehended and are basically quarantined, quote unquote, house arrest, whatever it is you want to call it. They're not allowed to leave. So what comms they're making, whether or not, you know, I haven't looked a whole lot into that. To me, we all know they're part of the sick group. So I know they're going down. Whatever they're trying to say to each other doesn't matter. It's over, right?
It's over. I mean, they're obviously their phones are tapped. Their internet's tapped. They know where they're at.
It's over, dude.
It's over, man. They're quarantined. When does a bird sing? When it's caged. Exactly. That's what they're doing. They're crying, breaking down. 9547, welcome to the show. What's your question for IET?
Hey, how's it going, Patriots?
How's it going?
I want to add one more thing before your question. You know,
you had a question? Say it again.
You know, the
IET.
other time when birds sing, they sing in the spring.
This is also true. They do sing in the spring.
All right, so it's March. It's springtime. Here we go. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. So I've actually, if it's all right with you, I'd like to change course just a bit, and I would really like to say a prayer for our president and our country right now. That's all right?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing Patriots to plan, install, and by your grace, activate the beam of light that will carry us through. Please, Lord, set us up on the hill and shine our light once again for the world to see. Amen.
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 I would like to ask one question.
Sure.
Well, I've got you here. So, how big of a coincidence was it on 4th of July whenever, right before Trump was about to speak, the earthquakes in California went off under China Lake? I'll let you guys mingle with that. Have a good one.
All right. Wow. Yeah, the China Lake conspiracy. I mean, that's not even a conspiracy. Something. I've gone over that as well. Deeply. Crazy stuff.
When you look at what we have, what we think are accurate maps of dumps, right? And there is one right there. And we're talking the depth, the frequency of the earthquake doesn't match normal earthquakes. To me, it was underground explosions. And they, you know, if you look at what the Richter scale can do with TNT based on how much we have, or if it's C4 or whatever it is we're blowing them up with, it can definitely shake the earth. And so, you know, it's always about optics, right? Trump's not involved. So something important, he's doing something else, you know, and all of a sudden something major happens. I definitely think that he puts himself into a position to absolve himself of all responsibility of what happens. He's letting his people do this thing. He's just the spokesperson. He's the man in charge. He's the one that holds the executive office, has the power of the military, has the power of the unconstitutional executive order. And he's using their system to beat them. And it's kind of like how we took over the internet. They made it so they could communicate better. They wanted to enslave us into this technology. And we used it to wake everybody up and record all of them. It's a beautiful thing. So the Tahoe Lake, or Lake
China, right?
Yeah, Lake
China Lake. China Lake.
China Lake is in Nevada. Mm-hmm.
7035, welcome to the show. What's your question for IET?
Up, Tom?
What's up, my
What's
man?
up, Tom? It's Shane, Navy vet.
What's up, Navy vet? How are you today?
Man, I'm just telling you, I've been waiting for you guys to get together, and this is beautiful.
Good to hear.
Thank you, sir.
You guys both follow me on Twitter. We're all patriots. So I really don't have a question, but I've talked to you, Thomas, about this several times. This is the second coming of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
It's looking that way.
There's a lot of overwhelming evidence to suggest that it could happen. I do know that it does say we won't know when it's going to happen. So even trying to predict it to me seems futile, but the faith is that it is going to happen. And that's how we can say with confidence, read the Bible. In the end, who wins, right?
God wins.
God wins.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. So that's all I wanted to say. I love you guys.
Thank you.
I am just ready. And I do have some inside info on the USNS ships. They were retrofitted. I've got a friend that works at Naval Oakland, and they were definitely in dry dock. He wouldn't say what, but I will tell you they were retrofitted.
Well, I'll have to look into that, my man. Navy vet, I appreciate it. We got 2 more calls, and I got to let my man go, okay? Thank you, Bubba.
All right, take care, guys. Love you guys.
All right. Love you too. Bye-bye.
Take care.
1443, welcome to the show.
Hey, brothers. How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing good. What's on your mind? What's your question for IET?
Great, man. First of all, I'd just like to say it's humbling to be on the phone with both of you at one time.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, man.
Like everyone else said, inevitable. I sent you a message the other day when you were talking about connecting with like-minded people. And my Twitter handle is here for Q. Here _4 Q. But I got an interesting theory that's been rolling around in my head. And what if the 10 days of darkness applies to these celebrities? And we know how bad drug addicts and stuff like that, if you're on some serious drugs, if you don't have some serious medical attention or light dosing access to that drug, within 10 days, you're basically up shit creek with no paddle.
Agreed.
So what if 10 days of darkness applies to what these celebrities are doing right now, and they're shitting their pants because they're in darkness and they're trying to, and we've left them one avenue, and that's Instagram and Twitter, to make these stupid videos where we obviously know they're talking in code.
Possibly. I mean, have we left them in darkness? Are they completely blind and they don't know what's going on? That is a very interesting theory.
And what if that 10 days of darkness leads to Suicide Weekend, which leads to Good Friday 4/10/20? You know what I mean? It's just an interesting perspective. I know it's a shot in the dark, but you know what I mean?
No, there's always multiple meanings.
Thank you.
You can never count one out over another. Although I would say that if you're going to have a financial reset, you have to stop all commerce, and that includes online. So if we're going to do that, that means, and you've already seen banks stop stock. We've seen markets close down in various countries across the world. If the internet shuts down, you can't move money. You can't. There's no commerce happening. And if you're talking about a Q post, how do you build a bridge without stopping all the traffic? You build another one just next to it, streamlining parallel, and then when the other one breaks, you just hop everyone onto the new one that's already working.
There you go.
So we have to have, if we're going to have this financial reset, it could occur during a time where there was a global shutoff of the internet. Now, is that going to happen now or later? I don't know the answer to that.
Or if it happens at all.
Right. Exactly. So, but I would say that you're not going to shut the world down twice. You're not going to close all commerce twice.
Correct.
This is a disaster for the world economy right now. And it's going to cost many trillions of dollars. So
I do want to add something to that. For people who I've done this, I went into savings. I took out $500. $500 would probably get you through a good while. Just in case ATMs go down, banks go down, you have $500 can last someone a while, So let's just be looking at that. Maybe just take out some money just to be on the safe side of things, just in case.
Agree.
We're going to take our last call, and I thank each and every one of you who called in. Great questions tonight. Caller, 8297, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, Thomas?
We're doing good, my man. Who's this?
This is Minister Timothy.
Hi, Minister Timothy. Welcome. What's your question for IET?
Actually, I have something to say. It's
Okay.
a comment.
Okay.
Through everything that I've been doing through paranormal, I know the light's been working because I haven't been dealing with anything paranormal that's been more negative than positive.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Excellent.
very
So
interesting
we
statement.
already know that there's very, how should I say this? There's a very huge amount of light that's going on, and no matter what anybody says, we are all on the right path. It doesn't matter who we are, where we are.
Wow.
I
So,
agree.
It's a shift. It's shifted.
It's a definite shift, and it's
Frequency
very
shift.
universal.
Absolutely. And I think that could probably segue into our next interview too, where I can go into depth about energy and frequencies, cellular polarization, how they have different charges.
Thank you,
how it
Timothy. Minister Timothy, thank you so much. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Because it's all connected. I mean, just like an ocean happening off the coast of Florida or South Carolina isn't just something that's happening there. It's something the whole ocean is doing, right? You know, everything that you do is a reflection of something the whole universe is doing. And so we were talking about a shift, this collective consciousness, this hive mind, it's the energy, it's the frequencies are changing, and people are waking up and uniting together. And there are so many things that we could talk about, the reasons why and how it works, but it's definitely happening.
It is, man. And, you know, I'm actually going to be doing an interview with Minister Timothy. He's actually does a lot of paranormal stuff. So that interview is coming up too as well, guys. So IET, my man, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on here. You have blown people away. This has to be one of the best live streams I've ever done. Going through the information that we've gone through, it went smoothly, no hiccups. Just a great time with you, and I want to thank you for your time and patience today, my man.
I appreciate it. It was my pleasure. I really, I was kind of nervous coming on. I'd be careful about doxing myself. Obviously, I just have my icon here. But yeah, it was fun, and it was good talking with you, and we had some good conversation. We could definitely do some more, talk about some different topics. Maybe if people want a certain thing talked about, we can throw that out there and then go back at it. I'm all for it. I definitely would love to have the likes of Red Pill on there, and even hop on some Jordan Sather with us. Jordan Sather's, I've known him since before Q. So
awesome.
He's a good dude. And yeah, let's do that. And it was great. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, my man. I want to thank each and every one of you for donating, sharing this, liking this, all the mods who kept up with it. I appreciate it. All the great call-ins, all the great comments. You guys are killing it. And I appreciate all the loyalty, my friends. You got a real patriot here with a real platform. My platform is your platform. And I wouldn't bring anybody on here that I didn't think was not reputable enough. So, again, my big thanks to IET. And follow him on Twitter at inevitable_ET. You've heard that name many a time on here, guys. So I hope you all have a beautiful evening. Remember, God wins in the end. And I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.